20 years together. My name is Ruth Kraft. I'm the Uber judge supervising this session of the competition. In real life, I'm a partner in a New York law firm. And before that, I was a real life judge for 14 years, which is, I think, why Tom White keeps me around, because I ask the hard questions. Okay. And first, I would like to have the judges introduce themselves, please. Can we begin with?
I'm Kevin Anthony. I'm a retired professor at College of the Canyons. So that's your neighbor up there at Northridge. I was the department chair for the hotel restaurant program. I also started our Institute of Ethics, Law, and Public Policy because of the influence of this exercise. And I think my best qualification for this judging is that I've actually put two teams up and had them go through the process of doing a presentation. And it takes I fully appreciate how much extra time you put into this and how hard you've worked. And you know, I would just like to add, I'm quite certain, and I'm sure you're I'm quite certain that you'll see that the time you put into this was a very worthwhile investment, because with my students, I saw them just grow and expand after this experience. So I'm looking forward to your presentation.
Okay, and Leon?
Hi, I'm Leon Goldman. Currently a member of the advisory board for the Hoffman Center for Business Ethics at Bentley University in Waltham, Massachusetts. I, in my prior life, was the Chief Compliance and Privacy Officer for the Beth Israel Deaconess Health System in Boston. And prior to that was Associate Professor of Surgery at Harvard Medical School and a practicing surgeon.
Thank
Hello.
you. And Samra?
Hi, I'm a retired professor of business ethics, quality management, governance, and CSR. These are my topics. And in the past, I participated as the coach of a team in this event. And since retirement, I'm acting as a judge. This is my second. And I'm also serving as an ethics expert for European Commission. That's it.
I should say a winning team. And I still remember them all these years later. Those young women were spectacular. They're not young women, and we're not middle-aged anymore. They were wonderful. They're absolutely wonderful.
Those days.
Absolutely. So let me read you the instructions. In the live days, we had my nemesis, which were these little time clocks. And since we don't have them, I actually have to use my iPhone. In this part of the competition, you were going to take on a fictitious business identity and assign an identity to us as the judges. So it's really important for you to make sure, for us to know who we are and who you are before you begin. Have 25 minutes to describe the legal, financial, and ethical, and to recommend a solution that passes muster on all three fronts. And during this time, you will be uninterrupted. When you are done, we will then ask you questions for 20 minutes. And during the Q&A, we're all going to stay in character. After the Q&A, to the extent that we have some leftover time, we're going to give you some feedback outside the role playing. So there are just a couple of ground rules to keep in mind. Obviously, the ethical aspect of this is the most important. The ethical issues should be described in practical, simple, common sense language. Using technical philosophical terminology or basing an argument on religious or theological grounds is considered a serious weakness in this competition. Also, during the presentation, every member of the team has to have some sort of a speaking role. And I see a question, who can see this transcript? And I have no idea what the answer is. So it is now 2:12 Eastern time, and you have 25 minutes, which will take you to 2:37 p.m. and you can begin.
Hello, Board of Directors of OpenAI. We are Matitech Consulting, and we are pleased to offer our analytical services and recommendations. First, I'd like to commend the company for its commitment in revolutionizing human life through AI. It has made such a big impact in the little time that it has been made public. Despite its great feat, it has been met with a lot of backlash. We have made it our mission to make sure the company's actions align with its values. Our solutions take into consideration all stakeholders. As you've engaged us to review the mission statement and judge whether we are still following it, we must be reminded that our mission is to benefit all of humanity through AI. Sorry, I can't share my screen.
Oops. You want to try?
It says it's disabled.
We have to make him a host.
Oh. Hold on a second. I have no way of doing that, to be honest with you.
Liddy, I think she may have the controls.
Yeah.
Okay, it appears to be happening. Excellent.
Success.
ChatGPT.
I am pleased to introduce our consultants.
Hello, I'm Dominic Garcia.
I'm Jillian Watkins.
And I'm Fernando Sosa. We as a team cannot decide how to begin this presentation. So we decided what better way to do it than to ask ChatGPT.
As ChatGPT puts it, ChatGPT, as an artificial intelligence language model, I don't have personal beliefs or values. I'm designed to provide responses to questions and prompts based on patterns and relationships I have learned from analyzing vast amounts of text data. However, the ethical use of AI is important to ensure that AI is used in a responsible and beneficial manner for society. In terms of ethical considerations, I am developed and maintained by OpenAI, which is committed to ethical AI practices. OpenAI follows guidelines such as ensuring that AI is developed in a way that is safe, transparent, and aligned with human values, as well as avoiding AI applications that could lead to harm, such as autonomous weapons. In summary, I am a tool created by a team of researchers and developers who are committed to ethical AI practices. However, it is up to the users of AI, including me, to use them in an ethical and responsible manner.
The ethical issues mentioned here are the exact issues that we will be discussing in our presentation. Our agenda will be divided into 4 sections. Our ethical dilemmas will be covered by Jillian Watkins. The legal issues will be reviewed by Dominic. And lastly, I will be conducting the legal analysis and providing our ethical solutions. Next, I would like to introduce Jillian.
Thank you, Fernando.
Yep, sorry. Okay, so what is ChatGPT? ChatGPT is a language AI model that is designed to generate human-like responses. It has a large database that dates back to 2021 and prior, meaning that any information on the internet after 2022 is not available in its system. Despite its amazing features, it lacks human emotion and just provides the best possible outcome based off an algorithm. ChatGPT is a revolutionary tool. ChatGPT is one of the most powerful AI bots available to the public. It provides quick responses, it's extremely versatile, and it's easily accessible to anyone with an internet connection. You can ask it a variety of questions and it possesses the power to answer them. You can ask it to write you a detailed essay, answer a simple question, or even bullet to you a bunch of facts about something that you're curious about. And next is Jillian.
Thank you, Fernando. Now, data privacy. It is a hot topic concerning AI. Now, other companies, not just AI, also mine and collect data. But does that mean it is ethical just because other companies are doing it? Well, no, because by not taking explicit consent for taking and mining that data, you're taking away people's autonomies, their accountability, and their willingness to accept potential ramifications if negatives do occur from the data that is being collected from them. And why is ChatGPT collecting data? Well, in the hard to find privacy policy, it says they're using it to conduct research. Well, what kind of research? We don't know, because that is not disclosed to us. It could be anything. And why it's so harmful is because as to how the algorithm is generated. It has such human-like responses that people are inclined to give it even more details in the prompts as if they are conversing with another human. Another concern is the impacts on the environment and how it consumes vital resources, such as energy. It has taken 1.3 gigawatt hours to train ChatGPT. How much is that in reference? Well, it's the same amount of energy used to power 120 US homes for a year. And keep in mind, the US is the second highest energy consuming country in the world, not to mention the water. It has taken a little less than 200,000 gallons of water just to train ChatGPT. And with every 20 to 50 questions, it is estimated that it consumes another little around 2 cups of water. 2 cups of water does not seem like a lot. However, you have to put into mind the billions of users that are using ChatGPT. So that quickly adds up. Not to mention it is estimated that 2/3 of the world by 2025 will experience water shortages. Now, ingredient biases. We would like to commend for ChatGPT having already taken steps into correcting this from their biases stemming from their sourcing and from its influences of its programmers. But in the way that they have corrected this issue was by another ethically questionable business practice. They outsourced labor for less than $2 an hour. So we can still improve our biases with ethical business practices. Now to user abuse. ChatGPT, as many of you guys know, is being used to cheat in academia, but it's not just students. Professors are also incorporating ChatGPT scripts into their courses. But there was a study shown that 27% of Stanford students, where some of our brightest minds go together, have used ChatGPT in order to help with their assignments and their exams. And 5% have stated that they don't change anything at all and they use purely what ChatGPT has given to them. And why are they doing this? Well, it's being marketed as artificially intelligent. People are overestimating its capabilities and thus not putting in the right checks and balances into trying to look for its potential flaws that it gives out. But what is intelligence? Intelligence is the act of understanding. But ChatGPT does not understand what it puts out. It merely predicts the most appropriate combination of words. And now keep all this in mind. as we try to estimate its societal implications. In the best outcome, ChatGPT can potentially supplement mental labor. And because these tasks are still being done, it has shown potential in in giving society a universal basic income. Because these tasks are still generating revenue because they're still being completed, and because because of its supplemental labor, us humans are able to have much more free time, which can lead to even more innovation. Despite its potential benefits, there are major potential burdens. Because ChatGPT is being used in academia, it can potentially lower the value of degrees. And because it can be used in place of human work, it can also displace large amounts of jobs. Not to mention exacerbate an already worsening climate. Oh, and I'm passing it on to my colleague, Dominic.
Hello, good afternoon, board. My name is Dominic Garcia, and as my colleague Jillian had mentioned, I will now be going over the legalities that are tied into the ethical issues that were brought to your attention in our presentation. I'll first begin going over the legalities that are tied into our environmental concerns, such as the energy and water usage. And to briefly summarize what my colleague Jillian had said, ChatGPT had used an estimated annual average of 120 US homes power usage. And if we were to break that down, that's roughly 550 tons of carbon emissions that have been released into the air. And within the United States, we have what is known as the Clean Air Act. And this and the Clean Air Act includes the regulation of any company entity that would produce a minimum of 100,000 tons of carbon emissions, and along with other minimal requirements. And the Clean Air Act would also require that the Environmental Protection Agency assists companies in finding alternative or renewable energy sources and to help cut down on greenhouse emissions. Although currently ChatGPT may be complying with the law, the energy usage will be the first example that we, or that I will be outlining, that even though ChatGPT may be complying with the law, their behavior and actions may not be better off for the greater good of humanity. Next is the water consumption. As my colleague had also mentioned, ChatGPT had used an estimated average of 2 cups of water for every 20 to 50 questions asked to ChatGPT. And this data was brought to us by a study conducted by the University of Arlington, Texas, and the University of California, Riverside. And within this study, they had highlighted that the water usage by ChatGPT in order to train their more recent versions has a alarming water footprint. And just to briefly go over what a water footprint is it is the freshwater equivalent of a carbon footprint. So the freshwater usage is measured in a process that produces goods and services for a consumer. And with the 1 bottle of water used for every 20 to 50 questions on a small server, we also have to think, how would this increase? By how much more fresh water would be used once ChatGPT opens up its servers? And currently in California, we are one of the states that are mostly affected by the drought. And in California, we have a 55 gallon per person per day limit, and with the eventual goal of moving over to 50 gallons per person per day. Given ChatGPT's current behavior of them currently complying with the law, how will this look by the year 2030? Will ChatGPT still make the efforts in the meantime to reduce their water usage for the greater good of the country, given that fresh water is a scarce resource and we are going down? we are constantly using up this resource. In the next slide, I'll be going over how ChatGPT is also complying with data privacy laws. However, their behavior had prompted a ban in the country. Recently this year, Italy had banned the use of ChatGPT within their country over fears of data mining and not verifying their users. So essentially, a governing body in Italy had called out ChatGPT for not complying with the general data protection regulation that is in the European Union and would affect economic European active states. So essentially what the GDPR is, it grants a user's control over their personal information. And what ChatGPT was doing, it was storing that personal information in Italy in order to train their chatbot, which prompted many concerns from the Italian regulators. Along with allegations that ChatGPT was not doing enough to verify the age of their users, it created the fear that misinformation and bias would begin to spread all over the country. So with these issues in mind, Italy had issued demands to ChatGPT in order to open up the ban. And with Italy's recent ban, it actually attracted the attention of German regulators and regulators from Ireland to inquire why Italy had deemed this to be necessary. And again, with ChatGPT currently complying with the law, their behavior and their actions still prompted a ban for fear of abuse of personal information. In the United States, we do not have a specific law like the GDPR. However, we do have laws that regulate how data is to be collected. If we were to, and in the next slide, we will be having, we will be outlining more of Europe's approach to regulating artificial intelligence as the first proper steps to separating humanity from AI. Recently this year again, the United Kingdom had enacted the Skills and Post-16 Education Act to help crack down on cheating. And the way that this would be done is that in the UK, they would prevent all premium subscription services in order to help a student with a relevant assignment. So for example, ChatGPT offering a premium subscription service, which offers much more than their basic version. If a student were to use that in order for their answer, ChatGPT would be subjected to a fine for breaking common law over there. And one of the major issues that we raised in our earlier was academia is being affected by the usage of ChatGPT. If we were to put this into perspective with the newer generation of people, if they were to rely on an AI chatbot to develop themselves in education, how will society's morals change within the next 5 years? How will humanity look at ChatGPT and how will we be advancing? Will our priorities change? Probably so. Given that ChatGPT has not made any public efforts yet, or OpenAI, to make any improvements ethically, it is a bit worrying considering that Microsoft, being the parent company, has done a lot to be environmentally conscious and to help social awareness. Unfortunately, there are many solutions that can be done for these legal issues. When it comes to the academics, it's just a matter of collaborating with academic authorities wherever the program and the software may be active, and being transparent with the policies regarding data usage and data mining. I'll now be transitioning to my colleague Fernando Sosa. He will be going over the financial aspects of the presentation. I would like to thank the board once again for listening to the brief overview of the legalities that are connected to the ethical issues in our presentation. Thank you.
Hi, board. ChatGPT has so many revenue streams. From its paid subscriptions to its many partnerships, money is not a problem for ChatGPT and OpenAI. Financially speaking, if we chose to make the ethical decisions, it would not crumble us financially. We have so many features to offer that tracking down on what's bringing us bad publicity and causing harm to our environment and planet will not affect us. As a matter of fact, many of these unethical behaviors have triggered things that are costing us money. Many lawsuits have come about from unethical actions that have been taken from ChatGPT. Litigation is never a good thing. It costs time and money, and that's taking time away from revolutionizing human life through AI. People such as Elon Musk and an Australian regional mayor by the name of Brian Hood have come out and said they are going to sue ChatGPT for its ingrained bias and false information. Not fact-checking data is costing us thousands of dollars, or will cost us thousands of dollars. ChatGPT is also on about $100,000 a day burn rate. This is due to the poor energy consumption that we currently have. Most of our data centers are located in the United States and in California. And as many of you may know, it's extremely expensive to have a center like that of its capacity running 24/7. A suggestion that we had was moving to a more climate-friendly location such as Iceland. Moving to a location such as Iceland would cost us a fortune to begin with, but over time we would make that money back and more. Transporting our data centers from here to Iceland, the cost would be high, and at the time it is unknown because the amount of structures that we have in the United States are unknown, but it would cost anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 per square meter. Over time, this would be well worth it for the economical benefits as well as helping our climate. Next, I'll be discussing our suggested solutions.
And I want to tell you that you have 3 minutes left.
Thank you. Our solutions. Having transparency with data policy. ChatGPT currently does not openly tell its users how data will be collected, stored, or used. We suggest that having a terms and conditions accept button at the time of subscribing to its use would be a great way to make its data use public to everyone. Relocating data centers, as mentioned earlier with the Iceland example, would be great for the environment, and it would lower our costs in the long run. Adding watermarks to ChatGPT's answers would be a great solution to stop cheating from happening in universities and stopping people from using ChatGPT for unethical purposes. OpenAI should work on making a system that can track down whether or not a piece of literature was written by OpenAI. Having the system would deter cheating and allow professors of universities to track down on it as fast as possible. And lastly, we suggest opening up a discussion platform where anyone can post their concerns about AI. Thank you for entrusting Matitech Consultants with your concerns. Do you have any questions for us?
And can we please go back to the full screen? And we want to see the 3 of you. That's the point.
Oh, that, okay.
So can you please shut off the screen share? Thank you. Okay, judges. Okay, and we don't have very much time considering that I believe we have 4 to judge in 2 hours. I don't know how they came to set it up that way, but in any case, Kevin, do you have any questions for the team?
I want to thank the team. I thought that was, I learned a lot. That was great. Let me go with, first off, Mr. Garcia. What was, Italy banned this because the algorithm? Well, I didn't quite catch all that. That's my fault.
Okay, this year, Italy had some concerns with ChatGPT because the General Data Protection Regulation gives the user full control over their personal information. And they're
Okay.
saying that ChatGPT storing that personal data to train their chatbot was unjustifiable for them.
I see.
And as with the added issues of ChatGPT not regulating their users' age, Italy had also feared that biases and misinformation would spread to a younger audience, and it would cause a lot of issues that way.
I'm just curious, how did they ban it? It's on the internet, right?
Yes, so I believe the process of banning was just ceasing operations in the country. However, we can get back to you with a full analysis of that.
I was curious on that. With Mr. Sosa, with you said there were some unethical actions, and could you elaborate a little bit on that? I didn't catch all of that.
Sure, unethical actions in what portion of the
In the
discussion?
financial area?
I'm sorry, I don't know in reference to
There was well, my notes aren't that good either, so let's not, I won't worry about that. But financially, they're losing it's costing $100,000 a day through poor use of resources. Was that?
Oh yeah, so they ChatGPT is currently spending about $100,000 in just running their data centers.
Okay.
And their data centers are located in the United States, and we're known for not having the best energy consumption. So it's by choosing to stay locally, it's worse for our environment, and it's costing them a fortune, or costing us a fortune.
Let me ask this question. Do you think AI is, do you like it, or do you think that it's, there's a side to it after this presentation? It's almost like a monster that's out of the bag. That's what I'm getting the sense of. What is your thought?
I think AI can be a very scary thing, and at the rate that it's evolving, it's almost inevitable that it's going to just keep getting more intelligent. So I believe that it's in our best interest to start looking into it as soon as possible, and looking at it from a legal aspect and a financial standpoint, and try to find the best solutions to problems we have now before it gets too advanced for us to handle it. There's new AI systems every day, and it's hard to keep up with its power and potential.
That's a good answer. Mrs. Watkins, why did you pick this topic? What attracted you to the topic?
Well, to be honest, I came onto this team later on, and they have already decided on ChatGPT. So, you know, I was open to learning about ChatGPT, since it is a hot topic that everybody's talking about.
Yeah. Okay,
And
good. Then go ahead.
Also add on to the question that you asked Fernando about my thoughts on ChatGPT or AI in general.
Yeah.
Well, I believe that, you know, technology and innovations can't be undone. Like, we've already said it at least out there. And I feel it's OpenAI's responsibility, or since they are the ones who are leading these innovations and have revolutionized AI to be even more advanced than it already was, to be leading in the ethical sector. You know, they should be like the shepherds leading the way, because you can't take back invention.
I've got some comments after that. Those were my questions, but I do have some comments after we finish our question side there. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Simra, do you have questions?
You're muted.
Yeah, you're muted.
Sorry. Thanks for the wonderful presentation. This topic particularly attracts my attention because I'm writing a paper on that these days. So some information you provided is really valuable for me. So here, using ChatGPT, how expensive and cheap is it to succeed or fail? Because the responsibility remains with the human beings, with individuals. to evaluate it, whether the information provided is right or wrong. But as you mentioned, there's a psychological situation because it is marketed as intelligent system. It creates overconfidence. So who are we to blame in case of failure? And how can we prevent this? Who is responsible from faults? The user or the provider? And most of the time, the psychology again created is that we blame the machine system rather than the algorithm developer. We forget human beings behind the screen. So how would you handle this liability issues legally? And there is absence of laws, so it's completely rests on ethical sides.
Just to clarify, would you like this question to be answered legally or through an ethical point of view?
Both.
Both? Okay.
Because there is no law for the time being in US, you said. And EU is trying to develop a regulation.
Okay, so I can start for the legal aspect. So if this were the United States, it would be more on the company itself, where they need to be held responsible that they're providing something that hasn't been regulated and has all these different nefarious uses. While if we were to consider the EU, they've already taken steps to ensure that students or people do not misuse the technology. So there, the blame can be placed on both, to where the company that is offering the service and the user who ended up using that service and misused it. So it would be important to just have strict policies that would ensure that one is protected by the governing body of wherever they're at.
And
Okay.
through an ethical point of view, I would say there is blame to be placed on every party. However, most of the blame should be placed on the people who have created in the first place, because they are the experts. Those are the people that the general public is putting their trust into. So I would say most of the blame is to be placed onto the creators and the tech experts who are marketing it as artificially intelligent.
Okay, thank you. If this is all, can I move to the next question or wait for the second turn? Okay.
No, of course.
And you mentioned about biases, digital divide, particularly. To go in more detail concerning digital divide, what precautions would you take to prevent this, particularly when developing countries are in question, because they may not have experts, for example, about high technology, so it would create the same effect as once discussed about internet access. So who will be represented? Whose information is uploaded? So there is also discrimination with regard to whose values, views are represented in ChatGPT. So what kind of precautions, suggestions do you have to prevent those?
Well, as we mentioned, thank you for the question, by the way. That was a really good question. As mentioned in our suggested solutions, we would like to call for ChatGPT and its board of directors to create an open platform for discussion, because while we don't have an exact solution to fix that right now, we do want to encourage an open atmosphere to question AI and to have a global discussion about it, of not just the experts talking about it, but also everybody who is potentially affected, such as the general public. So yes, we do want everyone to be talking about the ramifications, the potential burdens, the potential benefits, what's going on, like what kind of biases they may have experienced at the hands of AI. So yes, we just want to encourage an open dialogue.
And Leon, do you have any
Thank
questions?
you. Thank you.
Well, part of it we sort of already discussed, but as a member of the board, our website contains warnings to people who use ChatGPT, telling them there are limitations to where the data come from and what it can do. Why do we become responsible once we've with it? There's the concept of emerging technology, not that AI is new technology, but that the user will discover something to do with it that we never thought of, and we become responsible for what they did with it.
Pardon, but part of what you said did get cut off on my end. I'm not sure if anybody else heard you get cut off, but may you please repeat that question?
Yeah, I'm just asking, our website already tells people the limitations of ChatGPT. Why do we become responsible for users' misuse of what we've described and told them that there are limitations?
I think that's a great question. I'll take that. So what you just said was that the website described limitations of ChatGPT. So I think those limitations in reference to its data source, which doesn't include new information, which means that all like biases from 2021 and prior from its fountain of resources hasn't not been fact checked. We were talking about people misusing ChatGPT in terms of cheating, for example, and nowhere does that message at the start of the website talk about misuse or abuse of its system. So we suggest like having a system where it gives warnings or there's like more security against users misusing it, because there's no apparent warnings yet.
Okay, because as far as I'm aware, there's a section for teachers about ChatGPT. And so I'm just wondering, the other was, you said it was about our mission statement. How do you relate each of these issues to something in our mission statement?
So our mission statement is to benefit all of humanity through AI. So benefiting a lot of these issues would promote that mission statement, because for one, fixing the legal issues would, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. I need to think about that a little bit more.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, since we have very little time left, I think we should break out of character and talk about, the presentations. And oh my God, Leon has turned into what looks like a koala bear.
Koala bear, yeah.
That's an original.
It's a pangolin.
It's
a pangolin. It's one of the most endangered species on Earth.
I'm thinking, what would my avatar look like as a lawyer, right?
Yeah,
God
there
only
you
knows,
go.
right? Anyway, all right. Do you want to begin, Kevin?
Yes, I learned. And that's always, I'm grateful for that. But as a teacher, I'm not concerned about plagiarism. I can ferret that out fairly quickly because it's pretty sterile stuff that comes out of the internet. That's not my concern. My concern, and maybe this is even a question, but my job as a professor is to cultivate decision making based on values, and part of that is emotions. And these are the things that are missing in AI. And creating that process in my students of sorting out information, analyzing it, and creating good, solid decision making. It's all that's the focus I want to have. And And that's my concern, is that we're going to take away that key element of the education, like it was mentioned, the degrees get lower. We take away that key element of education is to cultivate those value-laden decision-making processes. So that's my thought on it. As far as and I don't know if there's really not a question with that. That's just my perspective on it. But when I saw your executive summary, last night, I went on the internet and I saw one section where you can actually go back and forth and dialogue with the AI. Maybe that will do it. But I mean, I think we've hit the right points as to, who's responsible for this information. And the thought comes to my mind, can I go on Chat GPA and say, hey, how do I make an atomic bomb? Is it there? Will it tell me how to create an atomic bomb? So, but thank you very much. I know you put a lot of work into this and I appreciated it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me continue then.
Yes.
Well, thank you for making us enlightened on such a hard topic. I don't know whether there's an engineer among you, engineering major among you, but it's a tough topic. But to make it easier for you, you can use an analogy. Isn't it same with the discussions that had been done when calculator was first introduced? So it led to great discussions. So what was told was overuse, over-reliance can lead to students lacking some basic arithmetic skills and their ability to perform some mental calculations. So you mentioned that it should be used as a supplement. I agree with that. So it should not replace human or student-teacher interaction, because that interaction is vital part of education. And as academics, our responsibility is to develop critical thinking skills, but ChatGPT does it and provide such or help you to develop such skills? Not necessarily. I don't think so. I don't know your answer is, but still, then we need human interaction with teachers, with others in the classroom. So it cannot substitute for it. So I wish you had emphasized this aspect more in your presentation. Maybe you'll do it tomorrow. And about the legal side, maybe you can mention difference between European Union and US. In European Union, there's an attempt to regulate it. But in US, again, it's left more to companies. They take the initiative first, the market system, and then laws follow, probably. And you can mention differentiation of ChatGPT, maybe artificial general intelligence, artificial narrow intelligence. These are topics maybe you witnessed in literature, AGI, ANI. So for different users, you may offer different versions which reduce risks. And about risks, in European Union, they mention about risks to human beings, and they ban those more risky versions of artificial intelligence because they harm human beings. And harm, how do you define harm? In laws, product liability, for example, for any harm done involves only physical harm. But here the harm is losing your autonomy, losing your skills in the long run, legal system, existing legal system. So European Union is one step forward with regard to that. They use the term risk instead of harm. So you may add some of those as you wish to your presentation tomorrow. Thank you. I enjoyed listening to you.
Thank you for the
Okay,
feedback.
so we thank you very much. You know, I never got your names, which I apologize for because I logged in late. So can you just tell me? I can see Dominic, Jillian, and Fernando, right? And you're undergrads, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good luck tomorrow. I just want to remind you tomorrow, the presentations are solely about the ethical dynamics here. And I want to remind the judges to please complete the judging form. And if you can get that in tonight, that would be fantastic. If you guys have any more technical questions, feel free to reach out to the IBEC tech staff, okay?
Thank you so
Okay.
much.